When I first volunteered with Red Cross, it was because I saw an article in the local paper, and it had a picture of someone helping, someone in a Red Cross kind of uniform helping someone, and the article said you only have to volunteer when there is an emergency. So I thought, well, that'll suit me because it's not every week, because I'm working. I can't necessarily volunteer once a week, but to just be able to volunteer when something happens. And I thought, if there was a real emergency in Sydney, I'd want to be able to volunteer. I'm actually a team leader, so I'm a team leader for the volunteers in the inner west of Sydney, and so I have about 50 volunteers that I'm in contact with for the emergency services area of Red Cross. What it means is when an emergency happens, the first thing that'll happen is I'll actually get an alert on my mobile to let me know that there's an emergency happening somewhere in New South Wales or in Australia, and from there then I'll get an email and I'll get the details of it, and then I'll get on the phone and start ringing the team. Most recently during the Cyclone Yasi and the Queensland floods, a number of my team were activated to go to Queensland. And actually during that time I volunteered to help out Red Cross here in Sydney in their offices, and I was actually an independent debriefer. So as the volunteers from New South Wales returned to Sydney, about a week later I rang them and just checked how they were and listened to their stories about Queensland. Some of our volunteers that went to Queensland were placed in quite stressful situations. It wasn't all plain sailing, and some of them really needed to offload. So I actually probably phoned about 100 volunteers during that time. It's quite interesting working at the police centre because you're there just next to the section where the 000 numbers come in. So they've got that big area where the police and the people that answer those 000 calls are, and then this is just a separate area. We work alongside SES volunteers, Coastal Patrol volunteers and Red Cross volunteers, all working side by side. So if there is a distressed person on the phone and someone, one of the men from the Coastal Patrol doesn't want to take that call or feels he can't help that person, he can transfer that person through to us. Equally, if we get a iffy sort of road closure question that we can't work out, those guys are really good at reading maps. One of the reasons I volunteer with Red Cross is because I think you really make a difference, and you know that you're really going to make a difference. You're not going to be just asked to put some kind of paper in envelopes or something like that. You are actually going to make a difference because you're going to engage with people. You're going to give people a smile or a welcome as they're coming into the evacuation centre or as you're answering the phone to them. Yeah, I think it's because you can make a difference, particularly in emergency services, when people are exposed to trauma and an emergency.